You're listening to the Fantasy Wildcard Podcast.
Yes, hello everybody and welcome back once again to the Fantasy Wildcard Dynasty Show. My name is Mags. You can follow me over on X at HotseatMags, and I am joined today by the best co-host there is. It's the one and only Kev. You can follow him over at the Dynasty Mind. Between us, we are the best two from the Fantasy Wildcard crew. Kev, it's great to see you on... Full disclaimer, you're not watching this on Bonfire Night, but we're recording it on Bonfire Night. So if you hear any fireworks going off, it's just people celebrating the Chiefs wins against the Bucks. Kev, how you doing, mate?
I mean, that's perfect today. The Chiefs beat the Bucks, and Ali's not here. It's his birthday week. I mean, what a lie that is. But I'm delighted to be here with you, Max. We've got the best two. We've got the best show. And we're switching up a little bit tonight. We're not doing our usual weekly recap. We're doing something a little bit more mischievous.
Yeah, just a little bit different, right? We're going to do some midway season awards, Kev. We're going to hand out a couple of awards. Got a few categories. Of course, award for the most scared co-host goes to Ali Cook for not being here tonight. So that's the first one out of the way. But we got plenty more to roll out as well. Starting, Kev, with what I thought was going to be unanimous, but it weirdly isn't. It's Rookie of the Year. Kev, me and you have gone for the same guy. I'll pitch it over to you to talk about this guy because you've talked about this guy far more than me. It's your guy. We both said Jaden Daniels. Kev, the floor is yours. Please wax lyrical about your guy.
Yes. I can't wait. Yeah, I guess the first disclaimer is this is the mid-season awards. Like, things can change. Don't just assume that whoever's the winners now are going to be the winners at the end of the season. A lot can change. Whatever happens can happen in reverse. But yeah, Jaden Daniels, we have to talk about him. A guy that we collectively were all above the market on. I was way above the market on this guy. I've got tons of Jaden Daniels. Check out my rostership at Dynasty Data Labs. If you don't believe me, type in my name. You can have a look at my rostership. It's right up there. A lot of analysts out there were fading Jaden Daniels. So if you're one of those, it's a damn shame because he's the number one asset in Dynasty, and he's a guy that he's outperformed all expectations. QB4 in fantasy points per game this season. He's had a little bit of an injury scare a few weeks back, but the weapons aren't the best. He's doing it really well with limited support. I think there's further room to grow. But this season as a rookie, he has done amazingly. From where he's start to where he's got to, he's someone that you've took him in your rookie drafts. In startups, you're probably taking him as a QB1, QB2 on the cusp. And yeah, he's a guy that's so far as being a league winner, because where you've got him and where he's delivering is fantastic. I will say the guy that I was going for is also having an amazing season, on pace for 100 captures, 1,000 yards as a rookie, and he's not even a wide receiver. But this award for me, Jaden Daniels all day.
You know, there's so much we could say about Jaden Daniels. The one thing that is maybe positive as well is as that wide receiver room and those weapons grow around him, I think he's only going to get better and better. He's only thrown 9 passing touchdowns this year. And I mean, whenever you look at that compared to the guys ahead of him, like Lamar and Baker Mayfield, they're both in the 20s. So you could see those points coming more and more as they start to strengthen all around them with Jaden Daniels. And Kev, the question now, and we are halfway through the season, so I don't feel like it's too bad to kind of react. Are you annoyed at someone if they put him as Dynasty quarterback 1 overall at this stage?
I think a couple of weeks back, I said that people shouldn't have Daniels above Josh Allen, above Lamar Jackson. I think the way the season's going, they're the 3, and whichever one's at the top is fine. And honestly, the market and the ADP has got Jaden Daniels there, so I've got no issues with that at all. I've probably got him in my 2 spot, behind Lamar Jackson, but honestly, those first three, you can stick them in any order, and it's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I'm absolutely right there with you. I'm not going to be annoyed at anyone for having him up there at all. And the other guy, the guy that Ali has nominated, not going to be annoyed at anyone for having him as their dynasty tight end number one, because Ali's Rookie of the Year is Brock Bowers, who has come out and just absolutely smashed it. Kind of putting to bed a lot of the things that we kind of said on the show, thankfully, preseason. Can you remember, Kev, only a short couple of weeks ago, people were fading Brock Bowers because he ended up on the Raiders. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can't believe people doing that because we overvalue situation and we forget about talent sometimes. But this is a guy, look, his situation's going to improve at QB. I think the weapons around him improving probably help him in my eyes. He's the number one focus of defense, and he's doing this as a rookie, as a 21-year-old, as someone that he's second in the league in receptions as a tight end. So, yeah, sky's the limit. It's a shame that Jane Downs is doing so good because I think Brock Bowers would have been a worthy winner. But, yeah, you are right as well. Ali was wrong on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can both agree, Kev, we're going to give the Fantasy Wildcard Rookie of the Year award to Jaden Daniels. Agreed?
Yes,
Right,
best to agree.
Daniels. Excellent work there. So moving on from Rookie of the Year to, maybe people's favorite type of player. It's the late round rookie breakout. To be honest, Kev, no slam dunk Puka Nacua winner from last year that we've got this year. There were kind of only really two names in my head. I've gone for one of them, which is Bucky Irving, and yourself and Ali went for the other, which is Tyrone Tracy. They're really not separated by too much in terms of fantasy points or what they've been able to do. I just went for Bucky Irving because I quite like Bucky Irving as a prospect, and I'm an Oregon fan, so I'm being a bit of a giant homer as well with that. I was sure Ali would also go with Bucky Irving, but silly. He decided to go with Tyrone Tracy. Things I like about Irving, he is in that crowded backfield, but is starting to sort of show himself that I think he looks like the best running back in that room. I know there are some Rashad White fans out there, but I just think Bucky Irving brings a little bit more juice. They're both wide receiver twos from when they've got their big breakout till now. I'm not going to fight you too hard on Tyrone Tracy or Bucky Irving. Do you think that there's a clear winner between these two, or do you think it is pretty close?
No, I honestly don't think there's a clear winner. I think the two guys in your mind were the two guys in my mind. We're the smartest, that we're the best two. We're smart dudes. It all depends on what your preference is, really, in terms of Bucky Irving's been a guy that's had more games in the top 24. I think he's had 5 games as a running back, 2 or better. So he's been more consistent. I think what you've got with Tyrone Tracy is a guy that's had 2 finishes in the top 7. So when he's truly got that workload, he's made the most of it. And I think short term and longer term, he's got the clearest pathway to being the clear 1A in his situation and really growing that value in Dynasty. I think Bucky Irving, Rashad White's going to be there for at least the next season. So that dampens it a little bit. But honestly, I can't grumble. I've gone for Tracy. I think he's someone that I'm reluctant to pay a first for at the moment. I think a deal like a second and a third would make most sense if you're going to go after Tracy. And Irving's probably got a similar price as well in Dynasty. I think these are 2 guys who you have to be ranking in a similar tier. So if it comes down to that decision as to I need a running back with a bit of potential now and the future, try the same deal with both the managers and see which one you can pull off, because I think they're fair prices, and hopefully you get 2 bites at the cherry and one of them comes off.
Yeah, what do you do if you're a contender right now and you get an offer in your inbox for Tyrone Tracy, who is doing quite well, or Bucky Irving is quite well? You get an offer for something like a second and a third round pick from another contender. What do you do with that? I always find those quite tricky, right? Especially if it's from one of your rivals. So I'm inclined to not help them out, even if it is a good deal then.
Yeah, it's tough as a contender selling off pieces to other contenders, because there's always that fear in Dynasty where I make the wrong decision, I look like an idiot, I help someone win a ship, but I think there's certain situations you can do it. A guy like Jordan Mason was when I was advocating for people to diversify and sell, and a lot of leagues, even where I was sort of a middling to contenders, I did that move. So, and luckily it's turned out pretty well for me in that. But I've been more reluctant to do it with Tracy or Irving just on the basis if there is an injury to Rashad White, if Tyrone Tracy can keep Devin Singletary away from that sort of that 40% role. Both of these in their own right can be league winners, and I'd rather have league winners on my roster than supplementing someone else in my league.
Yeah, absolutely right there. So I think because you and Ali went for Tyrone Tracy there, I'm more than happy to give that award to Tyrone Tracy, the fantasy wildcard late round rookie breakout of the year. Congratulations to Tyrone Tracy. I'm sure he will be absolutely thrilled and be sending in his acceptance speech any day now. So moving on to award number 4 after Ali picked up the first award of the night. It's award number 4. This is not rookie breakout. This is overall Dynasty breakout of the year. Kev, you and Ali went for the same player on this one. Tell us who it was.
Wow. Yeah, this is a tough one. It's fireworks night. It's a rocket ship emoji. I mean, could we really pick Drake London? And the answer is yes. We have picked Drake London. Me and Ali. It was close with the guy you've also nominated for this. Drake London. I think the reason I've picked him as my breakout of the year is it's all to do with my expectation and what he's done. He's far surpassed what the other candidate would do in my view. So, yeah, I'm still a little bit skeptical with regards to talent. I think he's winning through touchdowns, through the favourable looks in the slot, through sort of being a high first-rate read in the red zone, and Kirk Cousins coming back to full health after a scary week one where it looked like he was washed. So I think with Drake London, he deserves this award. I want to see more of the second half of the season because he's on pace for double-digit touchdowns, and we'll temper expectations. Obviously, he was on the road show, got absolutely hammered, and he's done great. He's really responded well to our criticism, so he must definitely watch that show. And we'll just see how the second half of the season goes. I think if I'm thinking archetypes in Dynasty, I think he's similar to Rashee Rice, a guy that's a big slot, someone that's winning with touchdowns. He's not doing it with explosiveness or sort of being what I would consider a true alpha wide receiver, but you've got to give him credit for what he's done with the touchdowns. So reluctantly, Drake London, but I also really love your pick on this as well, Max.
Yeah, so Drake London, I think whenever I sent out that tweet that sort of went around the internet, Kev, a while ago, and I made that little video as well. My main point wasn't that I thought Drake London was a terrible player. It was that I thought people were treating Drake London like he had broken out already.
Yeah.
And at the time of that, Drake London was ranked wide receiver 10 on Keep Trade Cut, which I thought was completely ridiculous because he hadn't done anything. He hadn't broken out. Now, it's pretty safe to say Drake London has broken out. He's now ranked wide receiver 10 on Keep Trade Cut, the exact same play. My point was he had nowhere to go. So this is kind of my thing. It was never that he was a bad player. It's that where he was going when the market was completely crazy. Now that he has broken out, don't hate that as much. But, you know, that was kind of more my point, Kev. Just trying to let the people know. But I've actually gone with a player who has more catches, more yards, and more fantasy points, which is Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, sort of similar sort of finishes fantasy-wise as Drake London before. He's sneakily been really, really good for fantasy this year. And of course, that catch seen all around the world recently, one of the best catches you'll ever see. Some say the best since since Odell Beckham Jr. George Pickens one that's close for me as well. That real nice Pickens one a couple of years ago. So for me, it's those three in the last couple of years that have been real highlights for sure. I've gone with Garrett Wilson. I could have easily gone for Drake London. Garrett Wilson, just for me, he's shown he's got slightly more of a breakout. I think he's a better player, a better prospect, and even with Devontae Adams coming in, he still managed to make the most of it. So edging it just for Garrett Wilson. But you and Ali have gone for Drake London, so I'm going to have to use my host privilege and give it to Garrett Wilson. So we'll move on.
Yeah.
Comeback player of the year. Comeback player of the year is up next, Kev. And we've all gone for three different people on this one. I absolutely love all three of these, though. I think all three more than able to win this award. Why don't we have a little chat about Ali's nomination first then, Kev, shall we? Ali's gone for a great one. Sam Darnold, what a comeback from him. I mean, whenever he signed over at the Vikings, a couple of people picking him off the waiver wire, Kev, I'm not going to lie, I laughed. I'm not going to lie. I was like, what are you doing picking up Sam, the guy that sees ghosts? Like, are you absolutely kidding me? And now look at him, quarterback 11, a guy I'm looking to go out and try and buy just to bolster some of those quarterback rooms that I have, but proving really difficult to get my hands on him because he is performing so well. Kev, I'll let you sort of talk about Sam Darnold, and then I've got a question for you, but I'll pitch Sam Darnold to you first, and then I've got a question for you about him.
Okay, yeah. So I went for Sam Darnold. I think it's a great pick. And out of our three picks on this award for Comeback Player of the Year, he's probably the guy that, in my view, he was written off the most out of these three, based from a talent and what is actually put on the NFL field perspective. He's someone that has been written off. And yeah, part of it's going to be the situation. Like, he's landed in a great spot with that amazing offense and great coaching, Kevin O'Connell. But look what he's done. QB 11 in fantasy points per game, a QB 1 in Dynasty, which is truly brilliant. I'm really pleased for him. And he's still a young dude. He's still younger than Joe Burrow. He'll always be younger than Joe Burrow. So I think it's a great shout with Sam Darnold, and I'm intrigued to hear your question, Max.
The question is now the perfect time to actually go out and sell Sam Darnold? Because JJ McCarthy didn't draft him for no reason. We've seen that system is super friendly, and we've seen what Sam Darnold looks like in other places. Is it now time to go out and try and sell some Sam Darnold, especially considering you probably took him off the waiver wire?
God, this is a tough question, because you can make arguments for whichever stance you go, whether it be a buy, whether it be a sell, or even if it's hold, like, you might want to see what you've got this season with him. I think personally for me, he's someone that I want to buy. And the reason I say that is his current market price is a low-end QB2, so that QB 20 to 25 range. And when I look in that range, I see other quarterbacks who I feel are on hot seats and not as secure in their jobs next year. And honestly, I think Sam Darnold's going to be a starter next year. This is a Vikings team I expect to make the playoffs. A team that the worst case would be to keep him as like that bridge till JJ McCarthy's fully back. Because I can't see him winning that job long term with JJ McCarthy. Yeah. I'm such a fan of the talent and the way that class is panning out. I think he's going to do the same as sort of the other rookies that have hit there. And yeah, I think Sam Darnold's going to have a starting job somewhere next year, whether it be back in the MetLife at the Giants or a team like the Raiders. There's plenty of teams out there that have got holes at QB or question marks at least. We've got Jameis Winston and Joe Flacco starting in the league. I think anybody that's a longer term sort of thought process, they might fancy Sam Darnold over those guys. It'll be at least a 50-50 shot as to what they want over the next couple of years. And this QB class that's coming out next season in the 2025 NFL draft, it's not the best. So I think Darnold, in a worst case, is going to be a bridge QB for a rookie, but in a best case, someone might actually fall in love and take a shot on him. Like I said, he's mid-20s, and he's got experience in a lot of different systems and backgrounds. And that's the fireworks going up for Sam Darnold, if you can hear it.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, Sam Darnold, definitely warranted for a nomination for Comeback Player of the Year. I've gone for, again, surprised Ali didn't hit the big homer button here in this one. Give me Baker Mayfield. I know he sort of had a mini comeback last year, but quarterback 2 on the year. He had his NFL comeback. Now this is his fantasy resurgence, I think, right now this year. Quarterback 2 for Baker, just slinging it. Doesn't care what weapons he has. He's throwing it down the field. He's rushing a little bit more as well, which is quite sneaky. I just love a guy that was shunned by the Browns of all teams. Got their first playoff win in I don't know how long, and then they decided to move him along for Lord Voldemort himself, Deshaun Watson, and now I can just shove it in their face as the leader of that Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, the 4-5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers after Monday night. But even still, Baker absolutely crushing it. I did think maybe I'm a year too late for this, so Kev, was it last year he was more of a comeback player? I've seen it just as he's gone to new heights this year.
I think that's fair. Technically, yes, he came back last year, was a starter last year, but I think this is the true comeback where he's absolutely hitting his ceiling. And for a guy to be a QB, 2 fantasy points per game, and he's not had Evans for a couple of weeks, he's not had Godwin for a couple of weeks. If he finishes, say, top 8 on the season in fantasy points per game without those guys for large chunks, I mean, he's done an amazing job. So I think it's great pick, Max.
Thank you. And spoiler alert, Kev, I seen your nomination and I thought, you know what, this is the guy I actually wish that I wrote down. So this is going to be our award winner, Kev, because I'm voting for him too. I'm not even voting for my pick. Please tell me about the soon-to-be winner of the Comeback Player of the Year. It's the one and only
J.K. Dobbins, running back 13 in fantasy points per game. Yeah, I think it's a great story. It's amazing for your dynasty teams because he's your most owned rostered player in Dynasty. I was at the time. And yeah, he's coming off a couple of horrific injury seasons. He's people were writing him off against Gus Edwards and the Kimani Vidal, etc. But he's took that backfield. He's made it his own. He's been hugely impressive so far this season. I think there's further growth to come as we get later on in the season. And still, he's 25 years old. He's someone that I think there's still time for him to flourish. And I guess the main reason I picked him for this award was coming back to be fantasy relevant is the first thing, but also coming back from such horrific injuries would stand him in good stead to win this award. So, yeah, J.K. Dobbins, pulling out for your boy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, coming back from, that death warrant of the Achilles injury for the running back as well, we've never seen a running back properly come back from that injury and actually look that good. So great to see J.K. Dobbins, of all people, coming back from that injury. Definitely worthy of the Comeback Player of the Year. Congratulations to J.K. Dobbins. Excellent work all around. And Kev, for the next award, Veteran of the Year, all three of us went for the same guy. There was no real thought in my mind that it could be anybody else. It is the king himself. It's Derrick Henry, picking up a nomination from yourself, Ali, and myself. Derrick Henry, the running back, 1 overall. We all spoke about it in the preseason. We said, if everything is what we know in the NFL, Derrick Henry and the Ravens should be a match made in heaven. And it's turned out to be exactly that. It's always tricky to kind of estimate and guess what to do with these older running backs. I think we have to just get to a point now where we have to say Derrick Henry is just in a league of his own. He's more of a throwback to those running backs that we seen back in the mid and early 90s that could just go, and early 2000s that just went and went and went and went and never seemed to slow down for fantasy. he seems to be one of those guys. He's one of the all-time greats, right, Kev?
It honestly is unbelievable. I can't take any credit for us being high on him overall. You and Ali have properly banged the drum for him, whereas I've been fading him. I've seen that career arc on the downslope, and it's just shot back up. It just epitomizes what he is as a player, an absolute freak of nature, someone that people are writing off. I was writing him off. Someone who's I couldn't imagine him having 13 touchdowns in 9 games, being the number 2 overall player in fantasy points per game. He's second behind Lamar, including all the quarterbacks in fantasy points per game. So truly unbelievable. And you're absolutely right. When I was thinking Derrick Henry earlier today, it's just like watching the sport when I was getting into it at the turn of the millennium, the early 2000s, where you had your guys like your Priest Holmes, your LaDainian Tomlinsons, your Sean Alexander's, players that were scoring 20 plus touchdowns on the ground, and that was the norm back then. We don't see that as much now. We don't see players getting close, but his current pace, 13 in 9 games, he's on course to say 25 touchdowns, which as a running back, it does take you in that time machine back to better days, I guess. But yeah, truly deserving winner of this award. Absolutely unanimous. And honestly, like if there's any dynasty teams out there with Henry on your roster and you're not a top 2 side, it's a yikes.
Yeah. When is that clip that makes it tricky? Like, is this going to be the same song and dance in the offseason again? Are people going to be fading Derrick Henry again then because he's an older running back? And are people just going to go in and buy him again and he's just going to crush again? Surely he's got a slow. He's like Frankenstein. He's got a Frankenstein's monster. He's got like bolts in his foot, and he just doesn't slow down. I don't know how you even value a guy like that. So I can see, just looking at Keep Trade Cut here, 2 players right beside each other. Believe it or not, right now, Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor right beside each other right now. I'm hard pressed to say I would take Jonathan Taylor ahead of Derrick Henry, just the way Jonathan Taylor looks like he's going in that trajectory that Derrick Henry should be going, but King Henry just isn't. What do you do with a guy like him in your dynasty team?
I mean, I've got a golden rule, which is whenever I'm buying running backs, and they're getting towards 27, 28, 29, 31 soon for Henry, don't spend your first. Like, try and hook the deal where you're not giving up a future first. But honestly, I'm sort of coming around to the idea of actually, if I'm a contending side and I can get Derrick Henry for my projected 111, 112, because I think at this stage of the season, you can actually start saying, yes, it's going to be a late first. I don't hate it, because am I going to write off that he's not relevant next season? How can you? After he's proven everybody wrong year after year and looked like he was on his way out with how he finished in Tennessee, to come to this Ravens side and far surpass expectations with touchdowns. And yeah, it's on a great offense with Lamar creating those holes with that dual threat ability. So yeah, I'm actually spending that late first now, which is when you've got a player that's really changing an experienced dynasty manager's mindset on what they should do. I think it's an eye opener, and all I can do is give you credit and say, Derrick Henry, you're an absolute freak.
Yep, all hail the king, the winner of the Fantasy Wildcard Veteran of the Year award. Congratulations to Derrick Henry. And moving on to our next award, we have the Waiver Wire Pickup of the Year. We have 3 separate nominations. Kev, I'll go to you first on your nomination, because you've gone for a guy we mentioned a little bit earlier in the show, right? Someone who you've actually ended up selling a few shares of, you're telling us, right?
Yeah, Jordan Mason, a guy that absolutely lit the league on fire those first 4 weeks with the Christian McCaffrey injury. It was running back 2 minimum in those 4 weeks. He was a top 5 finish in 2 of those. And a guy that in the offseason, you was getting him off waivers. I took him in many leagues. I had him in 12 out of my 30 leagues. So at that point, I had to diversify. I managed to get that down to 3 shares. Maybe if I only had a couple of shares, I wouldn't have done the same. I think it all depends on how you approach your portfolio as such. But Jordan Mason, I think just for those 4 weeks, it gave you a window to do what I did and pivot. It also gave you performances which you picked guy up off waivers, and if he's sort of a free move at running back where you've plugged him in, you've not expected him to start the season, McCaffrey's got injured, he is a starter. That's giving that team a whole boost for those first 4 games. So 1, you've got the opportunity to pivot. 2, you've got great output, and it's something you didn't expect. So it's going to help you decide, actually, is this a contending side? Is this a rebuilding side? What can I do to sort of bring that all together? So yeah, Jordan Mason's the guy that I wanted to nominate. I think the other guys that are in this category are also fantastic picks. I can't argue with any of these 3. I think you can spin a story for each one of them, and also it's 3 different positions.
Well, I'm going to make an argument against Ali's. You know why? He's picked a very good player here. He's not here, but he has picked a great player in Cedric Tillman. I didn't see too much Tillman on the waiver wire. I'm not going to lie. He was like on a taxi squad from the year before a lot. Don't see a lot of Tillman on the waiver wire. Maybe that's just the leagues I'm in, Kev. But did you see a lot of Cedric Tillman floating around the waiver wire? Because I didn't.
He's going to be so upset. So I said, yeah, let's stick Tillman on. Oh, Ollie, bless him. I've absolutely set him up there, but it's his own fault for not turning up. I think it all depends on what you'd consider a standard league size, and if you're thinking it's start 10 with 10 bench, 20-man dynasty team, 3 taxi squad, something like that, there's a strong chances on waivers. I think if your normal league has got 30 spots, 15 bench, 20 bench, he's probably going to be rostered like we do the Dynasty Best Ball leagues where there's 30 roster spots.
Yeah.
There's a few where he's on waivers, but not many. So, yeah, I think I've got Ali in trouble there, but he deserves it.
Yeah, he definitely does. He's not here to defend himself. He's out for dinner with Dalvin and James, as we know. So the nomination from me, we kind of spoke about him earlier, so I'm not going to go into it too much. I've gone for Sam Darnold here. He was a nomination for Comeback Player of the Year. Sam Darnold's someone that definitely was on the waivers. I laughed at it, as I said earlier, when I see people picking him up off waivers. How wrong was I? So he's my nomination there. Kev, I've chosen a couple of winners. I'll give this one to you. Who do you think is the most deserving winner of this award?
I think it's got to be Sam Darnold for me. Just if he's on the waivers, then he's got to win it because he's just how much he's gaining value, how much he's performing right now. It's more valuable than both Mason and Tillman. So give me Sam Darnold, a guy that I was super high on, but actually ended up with none of him this offseason. So that's pretty upsetting.
Yeah, exactly. And coming on to our penultimate award of the year, this is like before the night before the Oscars, Kev, they do the Razzie Awards for like worst movie and all that. All right, this is our Razzie Award equivalent. This is the Fantasy Wildcard Bust of the Year. And it's just sad times talking about these 2 nominees. I've gone down a different route. I'm probably more harsh. Although, I mean, talk about being harsh to your nomination in a minute. I'm sure he can tell you what harsh is. I've gone for Christian McCaffrey, Kev, mainly because he was the winner of our Dynasty MVP award last year for the most valuable player in fantasy football. And this year, he's been literally useless. So I think just going from the highest possible position you can go to having, the same amount of fantasy points as you and me, that we're really struggling here with Christian McCaffrey. I think it's so frustrating, and the most annoying thing is they only had him as questionable before that game. Can you believe that? I'm still not over that. I started him in some lineups because it was that late Monday Night Football, and I think there was some shenanigans with the auto sub that caused the weatherman to put his his Twitter posse onto Sleeper and get that thing corrected. Shout out to Matt. Thank you very much for that. But yeah, I've gone for CMC. I think it's a little bit harsh because it's sort of out of his control. Kev, you and Ali went for a player that's actually played a little bit, so I think they're maybe more deserving of this award. Who did you go for?
Yeah, bust of the year. It's got to be either Sydney Sweeney or Billie Eilish, but I think for the purposes of this podcast, it's Anthony Richardson, a guy that QB 33 in fantasy points per game. That's worse than Deshaun Watson.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, I think Deshaun Watson's 32 in fantasy points per game. So, yeah, everything.
Deshaun Watson's bust of the year was, 3 years ago now? It was.
It was busting all year, but yeah, Anthony Richardson, like, there was other concerns about how he would look, as a passer and how it looks to the naked eye and stuff like that. But we always thought that despite how grim it was, and if he was losing games, he'd still be able to put fantasy points, and he's not done that. So yeah, I personally think he's done now in the league. I think if you can get, I'm not going to say something for a third, but honestly, I think, in my view, I'll be trying to get out of Richardson in as many spots as possible. And you've probably got to hide him in deals. You've probably got to have a deal where it's like 3 players for 4 players, something along those lines, where you're not making it very clear as to what he's actually worth. Because I just can't, you're just seeing it with players like Trey Lance, where he's been stuck at the bottom of some rosters for a while, and he's not going to become anything either. So it's a tough time. I think it was obviously a gamble in Staps taking him in round 1, and it's not turned out well for you this time. But I would encourage people to still lean into risk, because you're looking for these moves which are going to provide a massive swing in your rosters. And the worst case is, if they don't come off like this, hopefully that's made that roster swing the other way into a rebuild and giving you that opportunity to get a high pick in this year's rookie draft to do what you need to do to turn it around. So don't be fearing that everything's going to happen like an Anthony Richardson, because for every Anthony Richardson, you've got a Jaden Daniels the other side. So Anthony Richardson's my pick for bust of the year, but God, Sydney Sweeney, Billie Eilish.
I don't know if it's because we've just spoke about Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and all these comebacks, but Kev, somewhere in the back of my mind, not like I had with Trey Lance, not even like I had with Justin Fields, somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm like, he's played what? Less than 30 games of football ever. And he's shown that, like, who else could show what he's shown on those snippets that he's shown with that little experience? If I can buy Anthony Richardson for a third, I'll buy him every single league I'm in, just to throw him away if needed. But Kev, maybe not next year, but in maybe 2 years' time, Anthony Richardson, comeback player of the year nominee minimum, I think. Right? We're going places there. Surely
that'd be amazing, honestly. Like, and being truthful, if I've got Will Levis on my team, I'm trying to trade for Anthony Richardson straight up with Will Levis, because he's the one that's gone. But it would be great if we look back in a few years and Anthony Richardson's winning the comeback, or even our next award.
We are exactly our next award, which of course is the big one. It's the Dynasty MVP, the most valuable player. Kev, let's kick things off with Ali's pick. We spoke about him already. Baker Mayfield was Ali's pick. I was wondering why he didn't nominate him for other things. It's because he thought he deserved the biggest damn award of them all. And quarterback 2, right? Quarterback 2, 22.1 fantasy points per game. But Kev, me and you have gone for the same person. While quarterback 2 is good, It's not quarterback one, is it? Lamar Jackson, once again, looks like he's going to be adding another MVP award to his trophy cabinet. 24.9 fantasy points per game. A truly phenomenal performance from Lamar. I know people have said it. He's looking pretty good as a passer as well, though. He's definitely improving in that regard, which is just taking him to another level in my book as well. My favorite thing about him, that rushing yard total right now is creeping up and up and up. He's got more rushing yards than James Cook, Kev. What's that about?
I hope that gets mentioned at tonight's meal in the Cook residence. Lamar Jackson, another level. Their big hit was Freak Me Baby, wasn't it? So, he's... What a tune that is, by the way. YouTube it for any youngsters out there. Absolute classic. Lamar Jackson, he's performing better as a passer now than he did in his MVP season. For fantasy, it's not quite at those heights of 27 fantasy points per game, but look, he's 2.8 fantasy points per game above Baker Mayfield in second. That's massive at the position. It's most of the way there to a passing touchdown more than every other player every week. So Lamar Jackson, he's done fantastically well. I actually think there's more growth. You look at his best rushing games, it's when they've been in tough matchups. Week 1 against the Chiefs. I think the other one might have been like Dallas on the road, like a traditional tough match when there was better early on in the season. So, there's an interesting run of fixtures coming up. I think there's the Eagles in there. There's a few others on the schedule, which are going to make it really interesting. And the Bengals, who came off a great victory this week as well, with our Wildcard Rewind co-host Hannah in the stands. I anticipate when the going gets tough, it'll actually be better for his rushing upside and more fantasy points. So I'd be shocked if anyone else wins it at the end of the season, but he's done everything right the first half of the year, and where you took him in your startups, QB 4, 5. I always thought that was pretty wild that CJ Stroud was going above him. Absolutely mind blown. So you've got to be so pleased with Lamar Jackson as your QB1 in Dynasty. Yeah,
has to be. He was the only guy that came to my mind whenever it came to a winner of this award. So of course, huge congratulations for Lamar Jackson. Tom Strachan will be picking up his award on his behalf any day now, I'm sure. So, Kev, that is our final award that we have given out. What an absolutely brilliant show! What have you made of it, Kevin? What was your favorite award of the evening?
We love doing these things, don't we? Like, it's the middle of the season, hence the mid-season awards. Ali would have loved to be here tonight. Obviously, he's ducked it because the Bucs lost. But look, it's interesting to look back, and it also helps you look forward, if that makes sense. So, great show. We've switched it up from the reaction type shows that we do. I think it's very worthwhile. And being honest, I think my favourite award and winner tonight was the first award for the most scared co-host of Fantasy Wildcard Dynasty show, which is Ali Cook.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you wholeheartedly there. Congratulations once again to Ali on his big award and his big defeat to the Chiefs. But hopefully he had a nice birthday apart from those things. Ali, shout out to you. So, Kev, that brings us to the end of the show. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. If you have not already, make sure you're giving a like and a subscribe and a follow or whatever the hell you want to do. 5-star reviews, how about that as well? Get all that stuff in there. You can find us at Fantasy Wildcard, at Wildcard Dynasty, at the Fantasy Wildcard Podcast Network. We're everywhere, Kev. Wherever you're listening, make sure you say hi, though, right?
Just say hi. Just give us some feedback. If we've called something out on a show and it's worked, let us know. If we've made a really terrible prediction, then call us out. We'll love a bit of a bit of banter, a bit of back and forth. And honestly, we're bringing entertainment, we're bringing some dice takes. We're having a lot of fun. So come and join us on this journey. And we are sure to not disappoint you.
Absolutely. So, guys, from myself, from Kev, from the birthday boy Ali as well, why not? Thanks for joining. We'll see you soon. Bye.
When you have the wild card, you have the power to change the game.